My mother's name was Eleanor. She was born in 1910. She raised 5 children in a 3-bedroom house in Asheville. She never complained about that. Not once that I remember. She was the kind of woman who made difficult things look ordinary. That was her gift, and I did not appreciate it nearly enough while she was alive. She died in 1979. I was 44 years old. She was 68, heart failure. She had been in the hospital for 3 days. And I was a nurse at that same hospital. I had been a nurse for 22 years by then. I knew those floors, those corridors, those rooms. I knew exactly what her chart meant. I knew what the numbers said. I knew what was coming, and I still thought there was more time. I was working a double shift. The day she died, I had been in to see her that morning, held her hand, told her I would be back that evening. She said, "Frances, go do your work. I am fine. I will see you tonight." That is what she said. I am fine. I will see you tonight. And I believed her because she had always been fine, because she made difficult things look ordinary, because I wanted to believe it, and because I was a nurse and I should have known better. And I went back to my shift anyway. She died at 4:47 in the afternoon. I know the exact time because it is on the death certificate I have kept in a box in the bedroom closet for 45 years. I got to her room at 5:07. 20 minutes. 20 minutes too late. I have been a nurse for 31 years. I know something that most people do not know until they are in a situation like mine. People very often die in the small window when their family steps out of the room. It happens so consistently that nurses notice it, talk about it, try to prepare families for it. Some researchers believe the dying person chooses that moment deliberately, that they wait for the family to leave, because dying in front of the people they love is the one thing they have left they can protect them from. Other nurses simply say it is the nature of the body that it releases most easily when the emotional intensity in the room drops slightly. I do not know which is true. Probably both. Probably neither completely. But I have explained this to hundreds of families sitting in that chair across from people who arrived too late, holding their hands, telling them gently that their person may have chosen that moment, may have been protecting them, that it was not abandonment, not timing they could have controlled. I have believed it completely for every family I ever said it to. I have not been able to believe it for myself, not fully, not in 45 years. I want to talk to everyone listening who has been in a room like that. Or rather, not in the room. The ones who stepped out for coffee, or to make a phone call, or to eat something after days of not eating, or to get some air, or to do their job the way I did, and came back and found the room changed. You did not abandon them. You were human. You needed what humans need. You cannot watch someone every minute No one can. I know that. I have known it for 45 years. I am telling it to you because you need to hear it from someone who has not been able to apply it to herself. Someone who knows it is true and cannot make herself fully feel it, because that might be where you are. And I want you to know you are not alone in that place. I want to tell you about my mother, not how she died, who she was, because I have spent 45 years thinking about those 20 minutes, and I have not spent nearly enough time thinking about the 44 years before them. Eleanor Porter, born Eleanor May Harris, Asheville, North Carolina, 1910. She married my father at 19, had her first child at 20, her fifth at 32, me in between somewhere, the second oldest, the one who became a nurse. She used to say I got my steadiness from her. She said it like it was the best thing she could give someone. Looking back, she was right. She made everything look manageable. 5 children, not much money, a small house, a husband who worked long hours, and she moved through all of it like it was simply what needed doing. No dramatics, no self-pity, no waiting for someone to notice how much she carried. She was the most capable woman I have ever known, and I became a nurse partly because of her. She showed me what it looked like to give yourself to people who need you without needing anything back. I thought that was a virtue. I spent 31 years practicing it. Now, I think it also cost her something. The way it cost me something, the way it costs every woman who learns to need nothing so that everyone else can have everything. I never told her that. I never said, "Mama, I see what you carry. I see how much it costs you. I see you." I was a nurse. I was trained to see people clearly. I did not see my own mother clearly until she was gone, and I could not tell her what I finally understood. There is a specific afternoon I keep coming back to, 1971. I had gone home for Sunday dinner. My mother was 61, still sharp, still moving through the kitchen, like she had never once considered slowing down. And I watched her from the doorway just for a moment, and I thought, she looks tired. And then someone called me from the other room, is less than #0. 6# is greater than, and I went. I did not say anything to her. I did not go into the kitchen and stand beside her and say, "Mama, you look tired. Let me finish this." I just thought it and went back to the table and ate the dinner she made. 8 years later, she was gone, and I am still standing in that doorway. In my head, still watching her, still not going in. If you have lost your mother or your father or anyone who was your steady place, I want to ask you something. What is your doorway moment? The small, ordinary one. Not the dramatic last conversation, the ordinary one you walked away from. The moment you saw something true and did not say anything because dinner was ready, or the moment passed, or it felt too large to name. We all have a doorway. We all have the moment we did not step through. That is not failure. That is being human and distracted and assuming there will be more moments. There are almost always more moments until there are not. A patient I nursed in 1976, a woman named Grace, 73 years old, lung cancer. Her daughter had not spoken to her in 6 years. Some wound from the daughter's first marriage that Grace had made worse instead of better. And Grace asked me one afternoon, "Frances, do you think she will come?" And I said, "Grace, do you want me to call her?" She said, "I do not want to ask is less than #0. 6# is greater than I did not want to ask her anything when I was the one who hurt her." That is pride. That is a mother's specific pride, not wanting to pull her child back to her deathbed as an apology, not wanting to be a burden, even at the end. I called the daughter anyway. I did not ask Grace's permission. I just called and I said, "Your mother is asking for you in the only way she knows how, which is not asking at all. Please come." The daughter came that evening. Grace died 3 days later, with her daughter in the chair beside the bed. The daughter told me afterward, those 3 days were the most honest she and her mother had ever been. Grace's pride almost cost them that. The daughter's distance almost cost them that. Both of them almost missed it because neither one wanted to be the one to reach first. If you are estranged from a parent who is aging or ill or simply getting older the way we all get older, this is me calling you. The way I called Grace's daughter without asking permission, your person is asking for you in the only way they know how, which might be not asking at all. Please go. Not for them. For 20 minutes from now. For the version of you that will spend 45 years thinking about a doorway you could have stepped through. I went back to my mother's room at 5:07. The nurse on duty that afternoon was a woman I had worked with for years. Her name was Betty, and she met me in the corridor, and I knew from her face before she spoke. And she said, "Frances, your mother passed at 4:47. It was very peaceful. She was not in pain." And then she said something I have thought about ever since. She said, "She asked for you this morning. We told her you were here." She smiled. She knew you were close. She knew you were close. Betty gave me that. Without being asked. She knew I needed something to hold on to. And she gave me the truest thing she had. I have held onto it for 45 years. Some days it is enough. Some days the 20 minutes is still louder than everything else. That is what complicated grief does. It does not resolve cleanly. It does not follow the stages in order. It is not finished when you think it should be finished. 45 years later, 89 years old, still sitting on this porch at 5 in the morning, thinking about a corridor in 1979. That is grief. That is what it actually looks like. Not the clean version, the real one. And here's what I know after 45 years of carrying it. The guilt does not mean I did something wrong. The guilt means I loved her. The people we grieve the hardest are the ones who were woven so deeply into the ordinary fabric of our lives. Is less than #0. 6# is greater than that we forgot to look directly at them sometimes because they were always there, because we assumed they always would be. That is not neglect. That is what it is to love someone for a whole lifetime. You cannot stare at the sun every moment. You live in the light of them, and when it goes out, the darkness is not your fault. It is just the darkness. I have a patient in my notebook, 1968. A man named Samuel, 66 years old. His wife had died the year before, and he told me something I have never forgotten. He said, "Frances, I was married to that woman for 41 years, and I did not spend one single day being grateful enough, not one day." And then I thought, when she was gone, that I would give everything to go back to one ordinary Tuesday and be grateful for just that one day. And then I thought, Samuel, you are having that thought right now. Right now is still a day. Be grateful for it, for whatever day this is, whatever ordinary Tuesday this is. Be grateful now. It is not too late to start. He looked at me and he said, "Frances, you are very young to understand that." I was 33. I wrote it down. I went home and was not grateful enough that evening. I have tried to be better ever since. I have not always succeeded, but Samuel is the reason I try. Mama, I know you cannot hear this, but I have been wanting to say it for 45 years. You were the most capable person I ever knew. And I became a nurse because of you, because you showed me what it meant to give yourself to the people who need you. But I should have gone into that kitchen in 1971. I should have stood beside you and said, "Mama, you look tired. Let me help." I should have said it 1,000 times in 44 years. I knew you were capable. I forgot that capable people need to be seen too. I forgot because you made it so easy to forget. I got there at 5:07. Betty told me you knew I was close. I am holding on to that. I am still learning to hold on to it more than I hold on to the 20 minutes. Some mornings I manage it. This morning, on this porch, at 89 years old, I am trying. To everyone carrying guilt today, for something you could not have controlled, for a moment you stepped out of, for a doorway you did not step through. I am not going to tell you to let it go. I am not going to tell you it gets easier, because I am not sure that is entirely true. What I will tell you is this: the guilt and the love are the same thing. You do not get one without the other. The size of your guilt is the size of your love, and that is not nothing, that is everything. Be grateful today for whatever ordinary Tuesday this is. Whatever person is in your kitchen right now, making things look easy, go in, stand beside them, say the thing. You still have the doorway. Step through.